Well, hi there. My name is Dr. Najman Riaz. I'm a practicing psychiatrist in state of New Jersey and a certified empowerment coach. I also make videos on people's mental and emotional well-being. So today's content is actually an interesting one. I made it on the request of a listener who wanted to know about telepathy, because it's, again, a very interesting area. As a new lover, when we go through those initial phases of infatuation, when our oxytocin in our body is really high and we get that fuzzy, warm feeling when we feel we're deeply in love, and we do want our romantic partners to just know what we are thinking, what we want, ahead of time. That's what we're going to talk about, this telepathy, and who has telepathic powers, and does it even exist? Before I thought that I'll make content on telepathy, I said, let me look up this word as to what does the dictionary describe it as. So the dictionary describes it as a form of communicating thoughts directly from one mind to another without using speech or signs. The word telepathy is derived from a Greek word tele, means distant, and pathy means feeling, perception, or an experience. In simpler words, we often refer to telepathy as an ability to read one's mind. And you must have heard, we casually say like, oh, you just read my mind. So what the research has found that for us to be emotionally intelligent, we do need some subtle forms of these telepathic powers so that we can pick on other people's emotions and feelings. Telepathy was long being recognized as some form of a paranormal experience, or what the psychologists often called ESP, or extrasensory perception, or a sixth sense in simpler terms. Yet, in extreme forms, it can be a symptom of a psychotic disorder, for example, schizophrenia or mania. The key difference between telepathy being a paranormal experience or an extrasensory perception and a symptom of psychosis is that in ESP, we can actually feel what the other person is thinking. But if someone is struggling from a psychotic condition or a disorder, a person will verbalize or perceive that they are having telepathic powers, but they also exhibit symptoms of psychosis. For example, their behavior is disorganized, they're very paranoid, they're delusional, they can hear voices, see things which are not there, and they often feel like that others can actually find out what is in their mind. They may be worrying that, maybe FBI or a specific person, their family member, they're able to read their thoughts and their actions. So because of that, they feel really exposed and in danger. There was a study which was done in an inpatient psychiatric hospital, and it was done on 40 people. All of these individuals were diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they were found to have these telepathic experiences during their active psychotic outbreak. Most mental health professionals can easily tell the difference if a person is having telepathic experiences due to ESP or whether it's a form of a symptom because of a psychotic disorder. More than a decade ago, telepathy as a form of ESP could not be overtly seen or measured, and hence many questioned its existence. But recent research explores the possible biologic mechanisms behind such phenomenon. Telepathy as a paranormal experience or ESP, as well as some other similar experiences, ability to predict the future, near-death experiences, and some of the other out-of-body experiences have been carefully investigated, studied, and they have been found to be authentic. For example, there was a research done, and that found that there's a strong correlation between oxytocin and our ability to develop trust, show empathy, and social connections. They found that our brains contain a specific kind of neurons called the mirror neurons, which are located in the frontal lobe or in our prefrontal cortex, which may be believed to play some role in these telepathic experiences. Now, these neurons were discovered at least about 20 years ago, and they have been shown to get activated or fired by the actions and feelings of other individuals. Now, those people who are low on emotional intelligence, for example, people who fall in the category of psychopaths, narcissists, antisocial, they have been found to lack the number of these mirror neurons, and that is why they lack empathy. Telepathic abilities are not only limited to humans, but they have been extensively studied even in animals. There is a researcher by name of Raffaella Pope who has been studying telepathic animal communication. She says that her experience is that telepathy is a universal language of animal kingdom. She believes that humans are actually born with these abilities, but they tend to suppress them or they forget it when they learn to speak a language. When we actually fall in love at the beginning and we go through that infatuation, there's a common belief that when two people are deeply in love, then they possess these telepathic capabilities and they can actually know what the other person may be thinking. However, the reality is that even in deep love and those deep emotional connections between partners, you still may not have those telepathic abilities. We can never actually tell what's going on in other person's mind, no matter how empathic you are. But it's still pretty hard to know what exactly is happening in other person's minds. So we often glorify, such abilities in our society, especially through movies and songs, and it leads people to have these unreasonable expectations from their partners, and which can put an unnecessary pressure on a relationship. Remember, we human beings are unique. We have unique abilities, and our best ability is to be able to communicate complex thoughts and feelings through spoken language. So to be able to get along and understand each other and our partners, I think it's important that we learn to communicate our thoughts and feelings clearly. And if we are extra lucky that we do have these telepathic powers, or maybe we're just extra intuitive or empathic or curious, but mostly mindful, then we for sure will be able to create those lasting and emotionally connected relationships. And I understand, I'm from India. This listener also seems to be from India. We were exposed right from the childhood to these Bollywood movies wherein extra stress was laid on just understanding your partners or being in deep love and then knowing ahead of time what the other person is thinking. And we used to often kind of attribute it to being in deep love with each other. They would call them as like true lovers, or they're just born lovers, and just to put this unnecessary pressure on the relationship. Because no matter what, no matter how empathic a person is, intuitive a person is, but still it is humanly very difficult to exactly know what the other person is thinking, what's going on in other person's minds. But that said, many psychiatrists, researchers, neuroscientists, psychologists, they have confirmed that individuals can be possessed with these telepathic powers, or these extrasensory perceptions, or the sixth sense as we call it. There may be a very small percentage of us who may be possessed with this extra gift. However, most of us do have to rely on the best gift that we humans have, which is our ability to communicate our feelings and our emotions to each other. So what my advice to this listener or to everyone else out there would be is that if you are involved with a romantic partner, or if you're married and you're expecting your partner to have those telepathic powers and understand what you're thinking, understand your feelings, then I think that may be putting some unreasonable expectations on them. I think we should rely on communicating. Healthiest relationships are those where there is transparency, trust, and ability to communicate. I know sometimes it's not easy. Many of us may have come from traumatic household, may have had some difficult upbringing, may have been raised by families who, don't express their feelings and emotions. And I know for them it can be very hard. However, we can keep trying. A few sessions of therapy with a therapist can also be extremely beneficial. They can give us tools and words that we can choose. Some of us can express our emotions and our feelings through maybe writing letters to our romantic partners, or sometimes, texting is a good option where our anxiety is less and we can share our deeper feelings and emotions. And also, a right pick of words is also important. Again, we should rely on communicating effectively. to show respect and mutual understanding, rather than just rely on telepathic powers. And yes, if you don't have them, doesn't mean that, your partner doesn't love you. It's just that, very, very few people on this earth possess these telepathic powers. To this listener, if you have these telepathic powers, that's wonderful. Use them healthy way, but rely on your ability to communicate. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to receive more helpful content on your emotional and mental well-being. Take care.